Look at the latest business headlines. To help with that, we're going to bring in global business consultant Hilary Fordwich, as well as accounting professor at Montclair State University, Dan Geltrude. Good Monday morning to you both. Let's start with those markets. They finished last week mixed. This morning, futures are down ahead of the opening bell. Okay, so the July 31st deadline for a new contract for UPS workers, that is quickly approaching, and the Teamsters Union president says he's asked the White House not to intervene if workers hit the picket line. Dan, to you first. What's the latest on these negotiations?
Well, this is a serious matter because we're only talking about a couple of weeks before we could have a major interruption in packages traveling throughout the United States and beyond. Now, listen, the White House did get involved with the rail strike, so I wouldn't count it out that they won't get involved here. We're talking about 340,000 workers. So if this strike does happen, what can we expect? Well, we're going to expect costs to go way up for sending packages.
Oh, that does not sound good, Dan. All right, how about this? So another weekend full of delays and cancellations at U.S. airports as severe storms, tornadoes, and flooding just battered parts of the United States. Hilary, are the airlines taking a major hit from this summer?
Yes, they are. And Alex, pleasure to be back with you. A few things here. We keep seeing all these delays, right? Across every single airline. We all remember at the holiday season what happened with Southwest, and now these delays. Two factors here. There are those who will say, well, we're having more storms because of global warming. Well, there was global warming during the Roman era. They didn't have planes, so they didn't have SUVs. So it's not just that. There is increased frequency, admittedly, though, of storm activity. However, the root cause of all these delays is our antiquated traffic control system. Did you know, as a passenger, for all of our audience, when you land and you text somebody the minute that you land, you are using more advanced technology than the air traffic control system in the US. Wow. 60 nations have more sophisticated air traffic control systems than we do. This is an infrastructure issue overall. Even Southwest, they have many other issues during the holiday period, but this was part of the problem. And every single developed nation across the world has more advanced systems, as I mentioned, 60. So it's due to federal funding and turf wars. I'm not going to bore our audience with that, but bottom line, we must update our antiquated air traffic control system.
Wow, Hilary, fascinating information right there. Let's actually stick with airlines for a minute. So an agreement has been reached between United Airlines and its pilot unions that would raise pilot pay by as much as 40% over 4 years. Dan, I'm going to turn to you with this one. How does this all impact consumers?
Very simple. Prices of those airline tickets are going to go up. What a surprise. So we could potentially be looking at a double whammy here, continued delays at airports. Plus, if you're traveling on United, you'll probably be paying more for those tickets. But listen, what are our choices here? Could you imagine if there was a pilot strike at this point? And I know, that I don't know whether that's legal or not. We remember back in the Reagan era, he fired the air traffic controllers. But either way, it's probably a crisis averted, although it's going to cost, because over the period of this 4-year contract, the cost is going to be somewhere in the vicinity of $10 billion. Who's going to pay for that, Alex? Us.
Don't like that at all, Dan. All right, let's head to the Sunshine State, where some insurance companies, we actually spoke about this last week, they're actually pulling out on homeowners, but actually State Farm is sticking with Florida. They're doubling down there. Hilary, what's behind this move for State Farm, and do you think it's a smart one?
Well, yes, actually, always when it gets rocky or when it gets stormy, yes, double down versus your competitors. They're actually taking a risk here, but they are investing in Florida. Just in terms of background, State Farm and other insurance companies, such as Farmers, have pulled out of both Florida and California in the past. Why? Because of extreme weather and fires, of course, in California. So there has been many exoduses here of all these different insurance companies. State Farm has doubled down, as we talked about, in Florida, Ron DeSantis, the governor there, has actually tried to attract more insurance companies. There's been legislative reform because one of the issues down in Florida has been the high litigation cost after so many storms. So yes, this is a smart move because State Farm is taking a risk that the other insurance companies daren't make.
Interesting. So about this, so after years of delays, Tesla's first Cybertruck has rolled off the EV maker's assembly line. Hilary, I'm actually going to stick with you. I mean, what's taken so long and how quickly will these trucks make it to consumers?
Yes, there's been a tremendous amount of delays here. Actually, just for our audience, everybody probably remembers you showed Elon Musk there. This was the one where he said that the windows were totally and utterly invincible. And then remember, he cracked the window and then and the one that was supposed to be invincible and they all shattered, or at least not inside. But yeah, there's a sleeker model. This is basically like a tank version, completely distinctive. What's interesting here, if you want one, tough nookies, because there's 1.8 million back orders. They've actually stopped taking orders for these Cybertrucks. Why? Because they're so in demand, actually, particularly across Europe and Asia. Few things. There has been for many, many years what they call range anxiety, because, of course, electric vehicles only go so far. But now Tesla has made massive investments across the US in these charging stations. If I could just add one personal point, I have been with somebody who has an electric vehicle going up I-95 from Washington, D.C. to New York. And for everybody in the audience, good luck finding, they never talk about this, a bathroom near a charging station. They don't build bathrooms near the charging stations, nor do they put in any windshield wiper cleaners. So you have the bugs all over your windshield and you won't find a bathroom. So good luck if there's a storm and you want to go.
Fantastic point there. Dan, in about 10 seconds, so the peach state is out of peaches, my home state. What's happening down there?
Well, what you have here is they've lost 90% of their crop due to heat and frost hitting. So this is a disaster. My home state of New Jersey, it would be like we had a pizza shortage here. So this is terrible for Georgia.
Absolutely. Georgia peaches, they are delicious in the summer. Not good news. Hilary, Dan, thank you both for joining us this morning. Always a pleasure.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Up next.